What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on Wide Eye Sports. We got a full cast and crew again today. It's a rarity that we get this many full cast and crews, but we got it. We got Riley, Spoon, Dalt, Brenner, as always, hosting. This is your everything you need to know before training camp of the 2024 NFL season. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to go team by 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 team, all the way through the entire NFL over this video. So make sure to stick around, like, comment, subscribe. We're going to hit the credits. We're going to get right into this. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to jump right into things today. I'm going to go ahead and scroll up here. So we are going to do a little game here that I have pulled up. I have a little wheel here. I might even be able to share the screen. Hold on. Let's see if it'll let me share screen this week. It is. It's letting me share screen. All right, so we have a little wheel here, okay? I'm not going to leave this up the whole time. I'm showing you this little wheel I have set up. I'm going to take it away now. We're going to go back to the regular view. And this is going to be the order in which we discuss the teams, just because I couldn't come up with an order myself that I liked. So I decided let's randomize it. So we're going to go first. We're going to click. It's going around and around and around and around and around. And we are going to start with the AFC West. The AFC West will be the first team we start with today. Let me go ahead and pull up my notes here. Get all the way down to the AFC West. So first up, I have just a little notepad or notes compiled on every team. I'm going to go over those notes, and then we're going to talk about each and every team. We're going to talk about everything you need to know, everything you should know, and just kind of recap everything before training camp starts. And I'll give you their training camp start dates as well. Some teams have already started training camp. Some teams report today. Some teams report in the next couple of days. So, this video will come out on July 24th. Most teams will have reported by then, but it'll be the first day of training camp, and you'll need to know all of this still. So we're going to hop right into it with the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, obviously, they have new quarterback. The Russell Wilson trade kind of going down as one of the probably top 2 worst trades in NFL history. Would that be fair to say?
I mean, it's up there. So. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, all competing for Sean Payton's coveted quarterback 1 position. It's kind of doom and gloom over in Denver right now. Kind of not really looking that great. They report to training camp today. That would be July 23rd. That's when everybody is due by. Rookies usually report first, and then the veterans are due on a separate day. We will be referring to the veteran date as the day everybody is due by throughout the entire video. The quarterback carousel, right? That's got to be their number one talking point. We're just going to kind of give a headline for each team and what you need to know about them. Watch out for their quarterback carousel in Denver, because they are. If you've watched the video or the channel before, I am not a Bo Nix fan. Spoon over here is a little bit.
I liked Bo Nix. I think he was just fine.
I think he's, a different. He's Taysom Hill 2.0. He's just not a quarterback at that level.
Could see Denver having 3 different starting quarterbacks this upcoming season.
Absolutely.
That's they haven't definitely on the table.
They haven't had a true answer at quarterback since Manning won them the Super Bowl and left, and I don't think we're gonna this year.
How many did the Browns have, and they still made the playoffs?
Yeah, but they had a historically good defense, and Denver does not.
And a pretty good supporting cast on offense.
Yeah. And you got Amari Cooper, all those guys over there. So I think Denver is trending down this season. But next up, we have the defending world champion Kansas City Chiefs. And gotta give them a little love there, as Dalton showed. You got guys pretty much coming back across the board. They still got their big 3 in Mahomes, Kelsey, and Jones. L'Jarius Sneed does leave, and I think that'll play a huge part in their season this year. Having a shutdown corner helps your defense tremendously. That's the difference between the best defense in the NFL and a top 10 fringe defense in NFL.
That's something that they relied heavily on last year. Was they had to rely on their defense because all of their receivers were dropping passes, and people were even looking at Mahomes. Like, I remember for a while, people were like, I don't know if Mahomes is that guy. And then
it's hard to do it without weapons. They go and they get Xavier Worthy, especially they go and get Hollywood Brown, with Rashid Rice potentially facing a suspension for a reckless driving earlier this offseason, where he caused I believe it was a 4-car incident by racing on a freeway in Texas, I believe it was. So
that was in Dallas.
Yeah, in Dallas. So there's a lot of questions with their their last year's wide receivers, and Rashid Rice, Kadarius Toney, those guys, Sky Moore. Those guys are all question marks, but they bring in Xavier Worthy out of Texas, Spoon's guy. Spoon loves him. And Hollywood Brown, who showed last year that for the Cardinals, he can play. He can ball. He's here to ball. So I think the Chiefs – what were you saying?
The biggest hole on the Chiefs right now is their offensive coordinator. I mean, he is tanking Mahomes' career.
All right. Riley has a severe bias against Matt Nagy, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like
has a career worst year.
Yep, I'm not going to argue with it because the numbers reflect that Matt Nagy is holding Patrick Mahomes back, but also you have to remember Andy Reid is in charge there. Matt Nagy's not calling plays. Andy Reid is calling plays. Now, not to discount Matt Nagy's effect, because I do think Nagy is not as good, and I think it's holding Mahomes back, but Andy Reid has to recognize that. But nonetheless, they're trending as world champions, right?
Chiefs are still the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Mahomes, when you have him, you got a chance. End of story. We're going to move on to the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, who now have the Mississippi mustache leading the crew. Gardner Minshew comes in. That Raiders defense was scary the back half of last season. They showed they're ready to fucking ball. We're ready to play. We're ready to be
Antonio Pierce, man. I feel like that's all him.
Yeah, Antonio Pierce comes in, changes the culture. They go and get Christian Wilkins to pair with Max Crosby on that defense. That defensive line is going to be scary. And that offense, I mean, their running back room is really...
The Chiefs once last year.
What? Yeah, they did beat the Chiefs.
Beat the Chiefs once last year.
But their running back room, really, really bad. Really, really bad.
Devontae
wants out desperately. Their offense has a lot of questions. So we'll see how that pans out. Make sure just to keep an eye on how their offense is looking. Jacoby Myers. Was it Jacoby Myers?
Their tight end.
No.
They're
wide receiver 2. They're wide receiver 2.
I believe so.
It is.
New offensive
coordinator.
I like him. Is it Luke Getsy?
Oh God.
I think their new offensive coordinator is Luke Getsy. So just keep an eye.
Right.
The Raiders offense is very suspect. It could be top 15. It could be bottom 3. So, but that defense is ready to be top 3 in my opinion.
With Luke Getsy there, it'll be bottom 3.
Last but not least, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh coming to LA. He's going to use Gus Edwards as a freight train. They're going to run the rock. They got 2 really good tackles. They drafted one this year. They had what's his name? It starts with an R. Rashawn Slater. They have him there already. Harbaugh said earlier this offseason, listen, offensive tackles are weapons too, and we're going to use them. So he's going to get that defense turned around because that's what Jim Harbaugh does. And they cut their 2 best wide receivers to keep their 2 best DNs. Like, they're going to prioritize the trenches, and they're going to win football games in the trenches as a tough, gritty, hard-nosed football team. Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion. He can be a leader in that room, and that team can be scary in a season or 2. So,
you think they're going to do you think they get to the playoffs or at least like a wild card?
Not this year. They do not have the offensive skill weapons to get to the playoffs this year. You're not getting to the playoffs with Quentin Johnston and Gus Edwards. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Your defense, the defense would have to only give up like 14 points a game, and I don't think they have that big a turnaround in year 1.
Heard.
All right, so let's see what division is next here. We're going to go with the NFC. Oh, NFC South. We are transitioning over to the NFC South. And we're going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Man, have they had an off season? I mean, you got the Kirk Cousins, quarterback. If you're talking Atlanta Falcons, you're talking quarterback. That's what you're looking for in the preseason, right? You're looking at the quarterback position. They have the Kirk Cousins scenario where they found that they were tampering with Kirk Cousins prior to the NFL free agency window opening. Minor infraction, like team doctors were talking to him. That's all that really, nothing really came out of that. But Kirk Cousins left the Minnesota Vikings this past offseason because they came to him and they let him know, hey, we're going to draft your replacement. We want you to be here for this year, maybe even the year after that, but we're going to go draft a guy that we think can play after you're gone. And Kirk said, that's awesome. No, thank you. I'm going to go somewhere where they want me to be the starter for the next 4 to 5 years, and I can play out the rest of my career with no threat to my position.
And then he goes to the Falcons and they draft a guy anyway.
Yeah, so then he goes to the Falcons. They pick Michael Penix Jr. with the 8th overall pick when they could have had any defensive player they wanted, and their defense they haven't had a top 10 sack guy since they went to the Super Bowl in 2016. Or a 10 sack guy, not a top 10 sack, a 10 sack player since they went to the Super Bowl in 2016. So they have needed edge help for a long time. They could have had any of the 3 best edge players, and they decided to pick a 23-year-old at the time, 24-year-old quarterback who will be almost 30 coming off his rookie deal. So wild offseason for them at the quarterback position. Next up, the Carolina Panthers, who they've just had a whole lot go on last year. Bryce Young, real rocky start to his rookie season. Oh, that was bunch of applause in my headphones. The wheel just went off and it was clapping, so I was really confused as to what that was. Sorry about that. But Carolina hopes that Bryce Young can rebound, right? They brought in the new head coach who worked, Dave Canales, I believe is his name. I may be butchering that last name. But he worked with Geno Smith 2 years ago, career resurgence. He worked with Baker Mayfield last year, career resurgence. And they're hoping, and now he was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach to both those players, but they're hoping he can have a similar effect with Bryce Young. And that's kind of their whole, they've added Deontay Johnson. They still have Adam Thielen. They want to prop him up and get him as many weapons as possible and really try to help him succeed. They shored up some offensive line questions. The defense was second in passing yards last season, so the defense can play a little bit. I know they were dead last in the NFL, but they were susceptible to the run game, and their offense was garbage. And both areas they made improvements this year, so we'll see.
I was going to say they did spend some money on their interior line this offseason.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And they lost Brian Burns too.
Yeah, they traded Brian Burns to New York. So
if Bryce Young doesn't turn it around this year, do you start looking for his replacement?
No. That first year was so jumbled mess for him. Like nobody was success. You could put Patrick Mahomes in that, and you're looking at Patrick Mahomes like, oh, that guy's probably a bust. Like nobody succeeds in that situation. So I think they give him at least 2 more years, if not 3 years, before they move off of him if he doesn't turn it around. Next up is the Saints. The Saints 2017 draft class is kind of coming to that time where it's like either you're really good and we're keeping you, or this is now the second time we've signed you and you're no longer the player you were and we're kicking you to the curb, right? They've had cap issues for several years. They finally had to pay the piper these past 2 years. Ryan Ramczyk just the other day got declared out with a season-ending knee injury, which really he's at the back end of his career, so that puts his whole career in jeopardy, really. Alvin Kamara still doesn't have a new contract. He did report to camp, but he wants a new deal, and that hasn't been done yet.
What would you pay? What would you pay a guy like Alvin Kamara?
I'd pay him $9 million a year. That's really my. Yeah, he's an older running back that has a lot of wear and tear on him. I'm not giving him much more than that.
You give him more than Derrick Henry?
No.
Let's take Derrick Henry got $8 million. So
okay.
You give Alvin Kamara $9 million?
I'm saying that's like the max I would pay him. So I guess I would technically give him more. Like, and it depends on where your cap's at too. If you're in the New Orleans cap situation, you're not giving him more than 5.
Yeah.
But if you have $50 million to spend, $9 million could be, a $6 million base salary with a $3 million signing bonus, couple $100,000 in incentives. That's doable. You also have Marshawn Lattimore, who has a lot of trade rumors have been circulating there. Nothing official yet, but lots of uncertainty. So just a lot of overall questions there in New Orleans. You have Derek Carr coming in. He didn't really show he was the guy you thought he could be. Chris Olave.
He never should have left the Raiders.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode though. But Chris Olave is really the only bright spot down in New Orleans right now. Tampa Bay. You have Baker, your new franchise QB1. I know Spoon loves it. New OC, Liam Cohen down there. They're really primed to make an offensive run. They have Antoine Winfield Jr. on the defense, Vita Vea on the defense. They got some ballers out there. I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay wins this division at all. And I would really be shocked if they had a bad season. They're on the up and up. I see them as a high-end wild card team and potentially a 4-seed, 3-seed division winner.
I still think this is the Falcons' division to lose.
It could be, but it just depends on how quickly they click. Because Tampa Bay is going to come in firing on all cylinders. They're going to come in hot from the start. They've had a season together. They're going to be meshing out the gate. So Atlanta's going to have to be hot from the get-go to have that happen. So we'll see. But that concludes the NFC South right there. So we're going to go on to the next. Oh, come on.
Price is right.
Ooh, and we stay in the NFC for the NFC West. Remove the NFC South real quick from the board. Go over to the NFC West. Let me pull up here the NFC West. We'll start with Arizona. Arizona Cardinals. You got Kyler Murray coming back. He was banged up last year. Jonathan Gannon, second-year head coach, aims to really, capitalize and prop up Murray. You go and get Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, you do lose Hollywood Brown, who was your wide receiver one last year, but you have Trey McBride still, who showed last year I can ball, right? They have a very strategic, very detailed offense that can really, really be good. I really do think so. And they played a lot of teams close last year and just lost. They're, in my opinion, they're
early on. Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, they did beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, seriously. Josh Dobbs had a Linsanity run last season. That was wild for multiple teams. But the Cardinals are poised to make a run for a wild card spot for sure. So look out for them. Watch out for that offense. Make sure to keep an eye on Marvin Harrison Jr. The guy's going to be a baller. Next up, we have the LA Rams. They've had a few. I mean, there was that, the Super Bowl run. Fuck them picks. Les Snead. You know how he roll. So they've had to pay.
I just want to do a quick shout out, Evan Bauer. If you were watching this, you still are owed a tattoo that says "fuck them picks" because he said he would get it at the beginning of the year, and then the Rams won the Super Bowl, and he still hasn't gotten that tattoo.
All right, so our buddy Evan has to get a "fuck them picks" tattoo because Les Need says them picks. I'm gonna go get everybody I can to make this a Super Bowl team. They did it. They had to pay the piper though. They haven't had many draft picks. They're just now getting to the beginning of the era in which they can start building again. They've done a really good job drafting Puka Nacua. They've lost Aaron Donald, all-time great Hall of Famer going off into the sunset, but they got, young studs. Kobe Turner they drafting Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk from the same Florida State D-line to play together again in the NFL. That's going to be scary in a few years.
Coming back off a injury.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Cooper Kupp healthy. New defensive coordinator Chris Shula comes in to emphasize a committee approach to that defense and, subbing in defensive linemen in and out, similar to how the Eagles do it. And just maximize that pass rush and where the corners don't have to play coverage for 6, 7, 8 seconds at a time. So that's the LA Rams right there. We're going to move on to San Francisco, baby. There's not much to say here. They are the team they were last year. The Ayuk drama is really all that has surrounded this team. He has officially requested a trade request, but he is expected to show up for camp. They said today that he'll be at camp. So
he was there, yeah. Yeah, and I don't see the 49ers trading him, man. I really think they might. I think they might tag him.
I don't think he'll play under the tag. I really don't. I think he'll sit. So I don't see the tag. By the way, I've been forgetting to mention these, but the entire NFC West is due to report today, July 23rd. I've been completely omitting that information on accident. I apologize. The entire NFC West is due to report on July 23rd. Last but not least, we have the Seahawks. The Mike Macdonald era has begun post Pete Carroll. The greatest head coach in Seahawks history has been technically has retired. Technically, like he's still there, but he's not really there. He didn't really leave, but they didn't really fire him. It was kind of a mutual, non-mutual parting of ways with like still access to the facilities. It's really murky and really weird. He's still there, but he's not there. But Mike Macdonald, huge fan personally of what he did with Baltimore's defense last year. They were absolutely disgusting. You didn't know who was coming, when they were coming, how they were coming. I mean, but they were coming, and they got after it out there in Baltimore last season. Best defense in the NFL regular season by a mile last year, and it was crazy. So this Seattle Seahawks defense has some young talent. Their biggest question mark was defensive line. They still have some edge questions, but they go and get Byron Murphy Jr., another one of Spoon's guys, early in the draft.
A new head coach.
Yeah, well, that's the Mike.
I'm excited to see how soon and when Sam Howell takes over too.
Yeah, exactly, and that's another thing. Gino,
he's only 23 years old.
Yeah, dude, that was a steal for them. That's the steal of the offseason.
He was like leading in passing yards there for a little bit last year.
Yeah, through like 6 weeks, he was like number one in the NFL in passing yards. Yeah. That dude can sling the rock, and we'll see what they can do offensively. They have the UW, the UW's offensive coordinator from the national championship game is now the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator, I believe. If memory serves correct, I may be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And, rookie OC, rookie head coach. We'll see. A lot of things can go right. A lot of things can go wrong. The Seahawks are in a whole new era for the first time since like 2009. So be very, very interesting to see what goes down. But that is the NFC West. Next up, let's see if there we go. The wheel spins, and it lands on the AFC South. The AFC South is the winner. We're going to pop on over here to the AFC South and start with maybe the team of the offseason. The most moved, the Houston Texans. They reported on July 17th for camp. They've been in camp for a few days now. Let's just talk about the offense for a second. C.J. Stroud, Laramie Tunsil, Landon Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins. I mean, if they stay healthy, this offense is ridiculous. And then adding Al Shahir and Danielle Hunter in their defense, they lost a few key guys. They lost the middle linebacker, Blake Cashman, Jonathan Grenard, guys that were key for them last season, but they added even better guys. Like, this defense should be just as good, if not better. The cornerback and D-tackle positions, they're really iffy. I won't lie. Derek Stingley Jr. is really their only solid piece in the secondary, and then that D-tackle situation is scary. But you have a lot of talent, of talent.
I literally saw, I think it was Tone Diggs from the Pat McAfee podcast talking about he was giving them their flowers and saying that, they could have a potential second-year Bengals run. Bengals were trash. Yeah. First year they got better with Joe Burrow, and the second year they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is absolutely a possibility. The only way you're going to beat this team is keep the ball out of C.J. Stroud's hand, run the ball up the middle, and take shots when they give them. And that it's going to be a very meticulous way to beat them, and I don't think a lot of teams have the patience to do it.
Try and sack him. Try and sack that quarterback.
All right, next up we have the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, what else do I need to say? Anthony Richardson returns. That's the headline for the Colts. They report tomorrow, July 24th, which is today if you're listening to this. Yeah, that's it. That's the headline there, right? Jonathan Taylor's back, healthy, good to go. Michael Pittman Jr.
Michael Pittman, yeah.
Michael Pittman Jr.'s as of right now is there. He'll be getting a new contract hopefully soon. The defense played well at times last season, and Anthony Richardson is their guy. They went up, they got him. They want him to be the quarterback for the next 10 years. And when he was healthy, I mean, he had like 4 rushing touchdowns in 4 weeks. Like he can play at the NFL level. So they decided to sit him the whole season just to maintain health. They didn't want to mess with anything. They wanted to protect the future of the franchise. He comes back, we'll see how it works out for him.
I liked their draft too. So
yeah, draft was good.
Their rookies.
Yep. Jacksonville's up next. We got, they report on July 23rd. The Jags are betting big on Trevor Lawrence. They're all in. They put all their chips right there on Trevor Lawrence, and they were like, we're going in on him.
$55 million a year for Trevor Lawrence is insane.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. I don't love it. I won't lie.
Glad I'm not a Jacksonville fan. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You lose Calvin Ridley. You add some weapons though. We'll see. We'll see there. Yeah. It is a huge. We will see.
We'll see.
We're not high on Jacksonville over here. Last but not least, we have the Tennessee Titans. They look to build around Will Levis, who in his first start had, I think it was like 5 touchdown game. It's crazy. He had that fucking huge game with DeAndre Hopkins in his first start and then kind of fell off the face of the earth. They lose Derrick Henry, but they get Tony Pollard. Tajay Spears is a duo. Neither of them is going to carry the load. They're going to be a duo, which we've seen Tony Pollard in a duo role and what he can do. And Tajay Spears has been very productive as a backup to Derrick Henry. And I feel like with an increased role can be even more productive. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley being the wide receiver 1B situation. DeAndre Hopkins obviously already there. That's a really deadly 3-way duo there. Hopkins obviously a little older, but proved last year he could still catch the rock. So Will Levis has the weapons. Let's see what he can do with them. All right, let's see. That concludes the AFC South. Let's see who's up next. Ting, 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 ting. The NFC East is up on the clock. Let's crop on over. Does anybody here have any ties to the NFC East that we know of?
Nah, it's probably my least favorite division.
0.
All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna start with Spoon and Dalton's Dallas Cowboys. They report on July 24th, and Jerry Jones all-in commitment to Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott for the 24 season. The Cowboys are in a win-or-else position. I mean, they have had playoff shortcoming after playoff shortcoming, and they are in win or clean house mode. Yeah. I think
you got Dak in his last year, going into his last year in his contract, and it's
no, Dalton. You didn't see Dak's holding out.
I mean, it's the ball. It doesn't matter what he
Dak
does.
Is not holding out, guys.
He's getting paid. He's going to get paid whether it's by Dallas or from some.
I said this a 2 weeks ago, maybe even. I said this in the group chat. Dude, Dak's going to end up in LA. He's going to be a Ram. I'm telling y'all. He's going to be a Ram. Matt Stafford's going to retire. He's going to go play with Sean McVay.
Brenner played a fun little practical joke in the group chat today and sent a photoshopped Ian Rappaport tweet. And I believed it for a second. And then I got on Twitter and I couldn't find it. And I was like, yeah.
This was the tweet I sent him. I sent him the following.
Going back and reading it, it's very Brenner coded. I should have known.
Cowboys star quarterback Dak Prescott is not reporting to training camp. Sources tell me and Mike Garofalo he desires a new market-setting contract. Don't expect to see Dak on the field if the Cowboys aren't willing to get a deal done soon. Per Mike Garofalo, Dak and his camp expect upwards of $60 million a year, fully guaranteed. I sent that to him, and he was not. He was a little salty boy.
I mean, I was. It could go either way, man. I'm really not gonna be surprised with if Jerry Jones pays him or if he doesn't pay him. I don't think he will.
We've had this conversation on the show a couple times now. I almost said a couple dozen. Hasn't been that many. But me, I think Spoon's on the same page I am. Riley, I don't really know where you stand on it, but me and Spoon are pay Micah, pay CeeDee Lamb, go get either a low-end journeyman starter for a year or go draft a guy, and don't waste a third of your cap on Dak Prescott. Like he's not a 25% guy. Like you don't pay 20 to 30% for one player, period. And that's what Dak is kind of set to make. And I just think that's ridiculous. So, but we've done that before, so we're not going to get into that a ton. The New York Giants are next up on our list here. We don't really have to talk about the Giants a lot because they kind of have let everything go. They've drafted Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is the guy to watch out for. Look out for Malik Neighbors. They're
putting everything that they're doing.
I was about to end with that. So Malik Neighbors is a guy to watch. If you need to know anything else, they're having Hard Knocks, which is a whole show about the Giants offseason. So they kind of did the work for us there. The two big things are Saquon leaving the Giants was a huge fumble for them, and Malik Neighbors is looking like
if he does well in the Eagles, which everybody thinks that he will, and he should by all accounts, he should do well. And I think
Darren Waller leaving as well.
Darren Waller retiring so he could be a rapper.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we were talking about Saquon. We'll talk about his new team, who also reports on July 23rd. The Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, obviously a more mobile quarterback. They have the tush push, which is borderline unstoppable. Now you add Saquon to that. You can't really crowd the line because if they do that fake flip with Saquon, he's gone to the end zone. So that's going to be a scary offense. Hurts' ability, he's made a Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Jalen Hurts is a top 5. I wouldn't even really put him top 10 pure quarterback in the NFL, but he's a top 10 guy at the quarterback position because he's good enough to play in a Super Bowl. Like, end of story. I don't love that. I would take 10 quarterbacks over him personally if I was building a team, but he has proven he can get it done and he can play at that level. And he played well in that Super Bowl aside from a couple plays. So the offense, the defense is up and coming. They've looked solid. They're still a trenches team. New center, obviously, Jason Kelce gone, but we'll see. We'll see what that offense looks like. It's supposed to look really good, but Kellen Moore has had some struggles before, so we'll see. The Washington Commanders close out the NFC East. Jaden Daniels.
I'm excited to see the Washington Commanders play.
Jaden Daniels and Austin Eckler make for the shiftiest backfield, and they have is it Antonio Robinson? Brian Robinson. Yeah. That's what I'm sorry. Brian Robinson. That whole backfield, start running some triple option out there. I mean, that's just crazy. They're gonna look a lot like Baltimore's offense, I feel like the two offenses. Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson 2.0. I don't care what anybody says. He did everything Lamar Jackson did collegiately, except he did in the SEC instead of the ACC. I've said it 200 times. Jaden Daniels, he's him. He's going to be really good for the next 10 years. So,
and the Commanders picked up Dan Quinn. So,
yep. And you got the Dan Quinn going back to play Dallas twice a year. Dan Quinn's last head coaching run, he made a Super Bowl. So we'll see. We will see. Next up on the list, we have 3 teams to pick from here. And it is the AFC North. We are on the AFC North train. Scroll all the way up here. Sorry. So we'll start with the reigning best defense in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. They reported on July 20th. The Ravens defensive coordinator is now Zach Orr. Mike McDonald obviously left for Seattle. We talked about that earlier. This is wild, but expect an even more aggressive defense. I mean, Mike McDonald, sorry. I keep saying McDonald's McDonald. He was an aggressive play caller. Zach Orr blows that out of the water, okay? Expect blitz after blitz after. They're going to be just barreling on quarterbacks every snap, every play. You're going to have to worry about who's blitzing where, how many dudes are blitzing. It's not going to be there. There's not going to be a snap where you're like, all right, well, they're only rushing 4 here. No, they are coming after your ass. Okay. Oh, it's going to be scary in Baltimore. High octane defense. Not something you hear very often, but it's going to be a high octane defense.
I'm excited.
And yeah, it's going to be dope. Joe Burrow. Need I say any more?
Yes.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's
coming off an injury.
Coming off the injury. Watch out for, I mean, I know me and Spoon, we had him as our MVP going into last season.
Yep.
I have a hard time believing he won't compete for comeback player of the year. I really do. If he plays at a pre-injury level, he will be comeback player of the year. The thing to look.
Let's say Jets and the Bengals both make the playoffs and get bounced first round.
Who had the better stats?
Okay.
That's what you got to look at there, right? And who were they playing? Are the Bengals playing the Chiefs and the Jets playing the let's see,
Panthers?
Yeah, the Jets playing the Cardinals. You know what I mean? Like depends on who they're playing. Tons of different situations there, but obviously Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, both leading candidates to win comeback player of the year. And then the Jamar Chase situation, hopefully getting him taken care of financially so that he can play in Cincinnati for years to come.
They got to keep him.
Yeah. Next up, Cleveland Browns. The Browns. That defense.
Year of the Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I'm not. Riley.
Still praying he can come back. He's on my fantasy team.
Another candidate.
I don't have anyone else.
Player of the year.
I'm gonna say right now. Said it before. I'll say it again. Deshaun Watson's cooked. He's fried. He's done. He's done. Like he's the Browns have overpaid to the 100th level for him.
Sure, they paid $240 million for this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And they paid that before his lawsuit situation was handled. And whenever you take the field for your brand new team and your fans are screaming at you, yelling at you, calling you a rapist, calling you all these negative things, right? Like, I hope I don't get flagged for saying that on YouTube. I don't even know. But calling you all these slurs, these derogatory terms. Those are your fans. The people that are supposed to be backing you and they're just destroying you. That fries a person's mentality. Yeah. Like, he's cooked. He's done. That defense should be a Super Bowl defense. They should be playing in the Super Bowl with that defense, but they won't be because their quarterback sucks. But
I do like their Jerry Jeudy addition in the offseason.
I also hate that.
I know you do. I like Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy has a case of the drops, and he's never gotten over them.
Ask Steve Smith Sr. about him.
Yeah, ask my GOAT, Steve Smith, how Jerry Jeudy is. That man, oh, dude, Steve Smith, don't even start, dude. I would run through a wall for Steve Smith Sr. right now. No questions asked. He says, run through that wall. I'm going head first.
No, when he gave that, I guess that rant on Jerry Jeudy, like he had a killer look in his eye.
Oh, dude, that man is a killer. I love that guy. All right, so last but not least, we're going to move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who report on July 24th. Revamped offense, baby. They got a brand new kick returner 1 in Justin Fields, a brand new QB 1 in Russell Wilson. Oh, they're going to be dangerous. Dangerous. No, just kidding. What it's going to boil down to is, can this offense go back to what Wilson likes to do? Wilson likes to run the rock and then take deep shots on the fades or the seams over the middle. And he likes to pick and choose carefully. He's got a beautiful arcing moon ball. That's what Wilson did. He created time in the pocket and then hit his guy downfield. Okay. I don't know if he can continue to create the time like he did when he was young. I think he still has the arm talent. I just don't know if he has the IQ to play the way he needs to play to truly carry this team. If Russell Wilson can return to a 2020 Russell Wilson level, then I believe this is a AFC championship contending team with Najee Harris in the backfield, Pickens out there, Warren in the backfield. That defense is redonkulously scary, but I don't believe that Russell Wilson can perform to that level. I just, speaking of, the last time Russell Wilson was good, do you know who his quarterback's coach was?
Who?
Dave Canales, the current Carolina Panthers head coach and the guy that revitalized Geno Smith's career and the guy that revitalized Baker Mayfield's career. After he left, Russell didn't do so hot. Russell didn't do so hot when he left. So
how many wins? Give me how many wins their Panthers getting this season?
The Panthers?
Yeah.
6+.
I can see that.
6+.
I like that number.
All right, we're down to 2. We are down to 2. The AFC East versus the NFC North. Who's it gonna be? It's the AFC East. Wow, we are going to
NFC North for last
until the end. I'm not picking. This isn't me.
I bet he's not even spinning the wheel anymore.
I'm spinning this wheel. I can show you guys the thing. I'll show you guys the final spin even. All right, so the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Bills revamped roster without key vets. You got Diggs, Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer, all those guys that they lost this year. I've said it before. Josh Allen's going to have to play both sides of the ball to give this team a chance at winning football games. I like their rookie wide receiver. What's his name? God. Keon Coleman. That dude's funny. I don't know. I haven't watched the film, but dude's fucking hilarious. The entire AFC East does report on July 23rd. But they have a really tough schedule. Their offense is really, didn't get a bunch worse, but didn't really get better at all. And their defense got a lot worse. The Dolphins, though, however, picked up Odell Beckham Jr. A lot of people are forgetting OBJ is now wide receiver 3 on the Dolphins. With Devin Achane and
Tyreek Hill and OBJ.
Tyreek Hill, OBJ, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devin Achane. I don't know who their tight end one is. Spoon, can you look that up for me?
Gesicki?
No,
it's not Gesicki anymore.
You're just thinking of the Bad Gritty. That all-time Bad Gritty. But that Dolphins defense, they got a facelift. New DC, Anthony Weaver. He's made significant changes. Key pass rushers like Phillips and Chubbs.
Anthony Fasano.
No, not familiar with your game, Anthony. We'll have to see how you turn out. But the Dolphins are getting 2 key pass rushers back in Phillips and Chubb, who got hurt late last season. They're not guaranteed to be back week 1, but shouldn't be gone for the whole season by any means. Should be back early middle of the season. If not, the rookie Robinson could step up for them potentially. Not going to put a bunch of stock.
Jonnu Smith. Yeah.
Jonnu Smith. Okay. Jonnu Smith. So that's a good. I mean, Jonnu Smith, who has kind of been overshadowed by Kyle Pitts' hype, but has played really well for the Falcons in past years. But yeah, the defense, if they can get those pass rushers healthy, they have the talent in the back end of that defense. They have some new key pieces there. And then the offense and my man Mike, you know how I feel about Mike. He's my guy. Love that fool. That dude can top 2 offensive minds in the NFL. And the other one's Kyle Shanahan. Or not Kyle Shanahan. Sean McVay. That's who I was trying to say.
They need to learn to win in the cold.
They do.
I don't think they've won a game under 40 degrees. Like there's some crazy stats when you start looking at their.
Or when you play in 95 degrees most of the time, it's kind of it gets difficult. So, and considering the other 3 people in their division are all cold weather teams, makes it rough. But speaking of cold weather teams, the Patriots, they go get Drake May in the draft. They stay pat. Gerard Mayo coming in to run the Bill Belichick defense. Those guys were good last season. They're going to be good this season. That wide receiver room is abysmal, though. You have like Demario Davis. You have Demario Douglas, and like KJ Osborne as your wide receivers. I mean, that's rough. Yeah, they don't have a whole lot. So pray for Drake May. Their offensive line isn't phenomenal. It's not bad. It's a middle of the pack offensive line. So pray for Drake May. All right. Pray for May. But
I mean, I'm seeing reports that Drake May might not even be the starting quarterback come week 1.
Yeah, I've seen that. Jacoby Brissett could get some luck.
Yeah, I've been seeing Jacoby Brissett's going to start out, and then I mean, it's not if or it's basically. I mean, they're going to be going towards Drake May by the end of the season without a doubt.
Absolutely. But
I don't even know why you'd start Jacoby Brissett.
I don't either. Just get the rookie pains out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Ending the AFC East, the New York Football Jets. Aaron Rodgers coming back
Jets
post Achilles. I mean, you either get 2021 MVP Rodgers or you get 2022 8-9 Packers Rodgers, and whichever one he decides to be is where you're going to see this team go. They have Breece Hall. They have I'm blanking on the receiver. Garrett Wilson, thank you. I could see him in my mind, but I could not see his name. Garrett Wilson, and that defense on point. I mean, on point. You just got to Sauce Gardner. I mean, just name after name. It's all hinging on Rodgers. This whole experiment hinges on who Aaron Rodgers decides to be. And if he's going to be the get in the way of how the offense is ran, I want things done my way guy from 2023 or the end of Mike McCarthy's run in Green Bay, that's going to be a problem. If he's going to be the guy that takes coaching and says, you know what, coach, you're right, I'll do it your way, then we're going to see the 2020, 2021 Aaron Rodgers that won back-to-back MVPs. And I don't know which he's going to be, but we'll find out. I guarantee it. All right, just so you guys can see, I've been spinning this wheel, and I wonder where it's going to land. Let's see. Oh, shocking.
Almost
the NFC North. He goes rigged. Said rigged. All right. So we have the NFC North. Boy, oh boy, do we have the NFC North. I could go, me and Riley could probably spend an hour on the NFC North.
Let's not do that.
We're not going to do that. Don't worry. We're not going to do that. We're going to start with the Detroit Lions, who reported on July 23rd. Jameson Williams, kind of last season was like he was the Heisman in college. He high draft pick. I think he went 12th overall. You know, he has all these expectations, hasn't really lived up to it. But at the end of the season, he kind of flashed a little bit like, oh, I could be this guy. And as far as I've heard from Dan Campbell, he's going to be that guy. He's going to come out. He's going to be that guy. You know how I feel about Dan Campbell. He's a bit of a motivator. He's not really a good play caller. He's a bit too, split my tens kind of guy.
Unneededly aggressive.
Yeah, unnecessarily aggressive.
Yes, that's what
and he gets in the way of Ben Johnson, his offensive coordinator, who is the reason the Lions are good. And when he leaves, Dan Campbell will no longer have a job. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Ben Johnson is insanely good at running an offense. He has mastered it. He has done phenomenal with the Lions, and he has turned Jared Goff into more than Sean McVay could turn Jared Goff into. And if that doesn't say something, I don't know what does. He has done more with Jared Goff than Sean McVay did. So what else do you need to say about Ben Johnson? But we'll see. That defense needs to take some steps in the right direction. They gave up, I think it was a 20-point lead in the NFC Championship to, go to the Super Bowl, and they didn't get it done. There's a lot of expectations in Detroit for the first time ever. Lot of expectations. And this is like win or else expectation, not like, oh, we're good, cool. Like last season was kind of like oh, we're good, this is cool. But now it's like, okay, you were in the NFC Championship game, you got better, you need to go to the Super Bowl now. And this is the first time they've ever really had that. Speaking of a team that's not new to expectation, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are reporting on July 21st, so a few days ago, and Jordan Love. They added Josh Jacobs to this offense in absence of Aaron Jones. I do believe that's an upgrade, and Other than that, the offense didn't really change a whole lot. David Bakhtiari's been in and out of the lineup. He's been there like 20% of the time over the past 5 seasons, so it's not even really like a big difference that he's gone anymore. This team is kind of just running it back. They had a 9-8 team that got hot at the end of the season and then won a playoff game. They're kind of just running it back because they feel like Jordan Love can do it with this team. Jordan Love was a bottom 5 quarterback to start the season last year and then a top 5 quarterback to end the season last year. I'm not huge on that, and it's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers thing with the Jets. Whichever version of Jordan Love comes out is the Packers team we're going to get. So
I think that's partially why they're running it back, is to solidify exactly who Jordan Love is.
that's fair. That's fair.
They got to pay him before they even find out.
Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, we have another quarterback to talk about.
Which one?
Is Caleb Williams.
There you go.
Steps into maybe one of the most ideal situations a rookie quarterback has ever stepped into. He's not being challenged by anybody. He's having the way paved for him. He's got 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, a Pro Bowl tight end, a solid run game, a decent line, and a good defense. He's getting plopped in to a 2024 Corvette, and they're saying, drive it. Just drive it normal and take us to the playoffs. That's what they're asking. Now, we'll see if he tries to slam on the gas and he blows the engine in the warm-up period for the engine. So we'll see. Or he could just not know how to drive at all and be a total bust. We don't know.
Yeah.
So they're aiming to go from rebuild to genuine contender. Right, last 2 seasons kind of rebuildy, and then they're aiming to be a Lions level contender by the end of next year. So,
I think the biggest determining factor will be exactly how good is this coaching staff.
Yeah,
because as we know, I have had my questions about Matt Eberflus, and I'm not just because Caleb's here. I'm not throwing those suspicions away.
Yeah, no, I do. I am not a huge Shane Waldron fan. Won't lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
I really... Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach, was the quarterback's coach in Seattle, and Waldron was the OC at the same time. Canales already has a head coaching job, and Waldron is still stuck at the offensive coordinator position, and I feel like there's a reason for that. I'm not trying to talk shit just because it's the Bears. I just don't really love the Waldron move. I don't.
And this will be his offense. I mean, Eberflus is a defensive coach. He's not going to get in the way of.
Well, so is Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was a defensive guy, and and as soon as his prize quarterback coach left, the offense had a lot of issues last season and didn't perform as well. Wide receivers got very unhappy because they weren't getting the ball enough, and when you have all the weapons that Chicago has, you need to pass the ball. So wide receivers have egos. I don't care who you are as a wide receiver. You have an ego. You want the ball. You want to get in rhythm. It's end of story. That's how it goes. The Bears also reported on July 19th instead of July 23rd or 21st, like the Lions and the Packers. Last, but certainly not the least, we have yours truly, Minnesota Vikings.
All right, guys. Thanks. This has been a great.
Thank you. Hey, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Peace. So the Vikings, for the first time ever, draft a quarterback in the top 10. They pay JJ. They got a few good key pieces on defense that we shored up. The linebacker position. We lost to Neil Hunter, but we have a better overall edge room than we had last year. Our defensive tackles are the same, kind of iffy there. And then our cornerbacks are still pretty iffy. And unfortunately, the passing of the late Kyrie Jackson, due to no fault of his own, was extremely unfortunate. Rest in peace to him and his friends. Praying for all those families that were affected by that accident. But nonetheless, the Viking secondary remains a little iffy because of that. He was our 4th round pick. He was, super highly regarded talent-wise, had some, different issues throughout life that kept him from achieving those heights that he wanted, but he had finally made it, and very unfortunate circumstance. But the offense on the other side, you have Jordan.
Also a little iffy.
No, the offense is dialed, dude. Offense is dialed. We just
who's your starting quarterback? Who knows?
Hold on. Let me get there. As of an hour and a half ago, we just signed Christian Darrisaw to a 4-year extension. So shirt up the left tackle, top 5 left tackle. Brian O'Neill, top 5 right tackle, shirt up for the next 3 seasons. We have 2 starting guards that were in last year that did really well. Garrett Bradbury still has 2 years left on his deal. Good starting center. TJ Hawkinson should be back. Probably going to start the season on the pup coming off the ACL, but we know ACLs aren't what they used to be. He's going to be dialed when he comes back. JJ, we have Jordan Addison, who was kind of a weird situation because he wasn't charged with a DUI like was reported originally. They changed it. He was taken in on suspicion of a DUI and immediately released. It's a weird California law that they can do. So he doesn't have a DUI. He might face some training camp disciplinary stuff from the team. But as of right now, I wouldn't expect much disciplinary action to be taken by the league because he was never formally charged with anything. So I expect him to play. And then the wide receiver 3 position is a little sketchy. Brandon Powell was our wide receiver 4 last year. He'll probably step up. Jalen Naylor's a good kid. And then, of course, I'm going super in-depth on the Vikings just because I know all this. I apologize. But the offense has Aaron Jones now to sub out Alexander Madison, Ty Chandler. I just feel like the offense is dialed. The quarterback position, I feel like after a year with Kyle Shanahan, Sam Darnold will be driving the best car of his life, kind of similar to the Caleb Williams situation. Sam Darnold was a top 3 pick for a reason. He just was put into a terrible situation. And if you talk to anybody in league circles right now, they're telling you that Sam Darnold can ball. He just needs the right talent around him. And he's going to get that opportunity. I still think that JJ starts this season. I would like to see him not and sit the whole season because I feel like that would be really helpful to any rookie quarterback. But we'll see. They report July 23rd as well. And that completes the entire everything you need to know about every team throughout this offseason. We made it. We're here. We are at the start of training camp. Football is back. We are in football season. Don't let anybody tell you we're not. We are here. We are ready to rock and roll. So unless anybody got anything they want to add?
Nope.
No? Everybody good? All right.
Yep.
Well, like, comment, subscribe. Go football. Go team. Go wide eye. We love you. We'll see y'all next time.